Greetings and salutations. Second Star right back with some more Raid Shadow Legends, and it's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I thought that on this romantic day, we should take a nice, lovely stroll through the enchanted forest of the Ultimate Nightmare campaign with a dynamic duo power couple here, Dracomorph and Whisper. You may remember Whisper from about a month ago. If you link your Amazon Prime account to your Raid account, Whisper was a free content drop. And about a month ago when this happened, everyone and their second cousin put out a video for their first impressions of Whisper. And they're all really good. I thought maybe a month later we should have a little revisit as people played around with her and found the best way to mastery gear, what have you. But this isn't specifically about just Whisper. It's also about her friend here, Dracomorph, who you also may remember from nothing. You remember Dracomorph from nothing. He's completely inconsequential, and no one cares about Dracomorph. Oh, okay, so maybe there was some drama involving Dracomorph, but he's actually very integral to this video today because he and Whisper have a fantastic synergy together, of which I will show you. Okay, so let's go. Oh, I have to shut that off, don't I? Yeah, right, boom. Let's go back here and let's look at our champions, shall we? Okay, so Whisper has a skill here. Here A3 is where the synergy comes in. Her Unyielding Flurry attacks an enemy 2 times, grants an extra turn if this target is under decreased defense and weakened debuff. So it has to be under two debuffs. But if the target is under both those debuffs, Whisper will take an extra turn after her Unyielding Flurry attack. She also has a passive called Unrelenting, which has a 10% chance of granting an extra turn whenever this champion lands a critical hit. And then it also increases damage inflicted on bosses by 20%. So that's kind of cool, especially you can also add that in an aura, where she has an increased ally attack in dungeons by 29%. And you can see that dragon and the Force Keep would quiver in her presence, right? She's very geared towards mauling any champion that stacks defense. Okay, let's go work back to our A2. Actually, we'll skip this for now. Let's go over to Dracomorph. Dracomorph's A3 is called the Baleful Eye, and look what it does. It places a 25% weaken and a 60% decreased defense to buff on all enemies for 2 turns. Alright, and if you notice that it's a 5-turn native cooldown, but you can book it down to a 3-turn cooldown. And Whisper's A3 is on what? 6-turn cooldown. So you see, if your second grade math kicks in, you see that every 3rd turn they synchronize. So this is one of those times when you might not want to book your champion down. Well, it's an epic, so you're not gonna. Not all the legendaries or epics get booked anyway. But especially this one, because it actually helps maintain order to keep her on a 6-turn cooldown if you have your Dracomorph on a 3-turn cooldown. Okay, now this is not the Dracomorph is not the only champion that synergizes that. You can also, if you had Venus, you can use Venus instead. Again, Venus, Void legendary, kind of a tough card to punch, but if that's what you have, that's what you have. Attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a decreased defense and a weakened debuff for 2 turns, also on a 3-turn cooldown, and that is on her A2. Now, I don't know how the AI works. I don't know which skill she prioritizes first, because I've never played Venus, but it works out if you're using Dracomorph, because Dracomorph will Baleful Eye first, and then when the weaken and the defense are placed, Whisper will always use her Charged Flurry. So it gives her A3 first. So that works out. Now, granted, these are 2 legendary champions, but we do have an out here. We can, if we are luckier to have Spider. Spider can also be used. His A3 also has decreased defense and weaken. Now, these are the only 3 champions that have both of these debuffs on one skill. There are champions that have, like Rosin Scarhide has a decreased defense and a weekend, but they're on separate skills. And so it's a little bit harder to make them line up and make them stick unless you have like debuff extenders or whatever. So my point is that these 3 champions have them on one skill and it's much easier to use. And Spider's glowing mark is on a 6-turn cooldown, just like Whisper's is on a 6-turn cooldown. So that first turn, I don't know how Spider's AI works, but I'm assuming he uses his A3 first. Then Whisper is, if you make Whisper slower, she goes next, and she can hopefully get her extra turn because of this. So yeah, it's some setup involved, but if it's a Dracomorph, a Venus, or a Spider, it's fine. You can book both of these epics, Whisper and Spider, and you can get on a 5-turn cooldown, so you can get a little bit faster. But it's a lot of books, and you probably won't want to use your epics for that reason. But if you are so inclined, you could do so. Okay, now another thing you have to keep in mind, though, is even though we're talking about turns, during fights there's going to be turn meter manipulation depending on what masteries you have. So it might not work out perfectly, but in just an example, you see where I'm trying to get at. So let's go back to Whisper, and we'll see how she is geared. Obviously, relentless gear. That's what you want when you have any champion that takes extra turns, be it Chevalier or Robar or Torvald. You want to make sure that you have an artifact set that matches what your champion is good at, what makes them unique. And that goes for any champion. A defense champion, you're going to stack defense, right? Hit point champion, you're going to stack hit points. So you definitely want relentless gear on this champion. And let's look back at the skills really quick, because I didn't do the A1 or the A2, but they are important. Her charged assault attacks one enemy, places a 50% increased attack buff on the champion for 1 turn before attacking if the target has higher max hit points than this champion. So that's where I was talking about relentless gear. You definitely, even though she's an attack champion, and you kind of have to make her survivable, so there is a certain amount of defense and hit points that you're going to want to have on her. You don't want to go overboard on just stacking hit points, because then you might not be able to get the full utility out of this A2. Okay, and we'll ignore defense if the target is under a weakened buff. So again, weakens are important. Softening Drive attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a 25% weakened buff for 2 turns. Okay, and so she places her own weaken. Alright, so let's go back into the artifacts. Relentless gear. Now, the downside of relentless gear, of course, is that it's difficult to obtain. What you can do, and this is what I did in my free-to-play account, and it's easier on some accounts than others, and you kind of have to be a bit lucky, but here's the thing. You snipe events. You snipe tournaments. A lot of times, especially on Spider, and there's a Spider event running right now. I waited till the last day of the Spider event, and I saw that not a lot of people were participating, and they were only like in the high hundreds. And so I did the math with how much energy I had, running only Spiders 10 even. I just kind of thought, okay, what's the average amount of rewards points that I'm going to get for each run? How many runs can I do? Can I get into the top 5? Because I think it's the top 4. The top 4 get relentless gear. And I didn't even really care about getting like the 6-star gear. I didn't need to finish first, and I wasn't going to finish first because that person, had had definitely done their due diligence, and it was solidly locked into first place. But second, third, and fourth place were all in play, and I didn't want third place, because third place was shards, and I wasn't concerned with the shards. I just wanted the gear. So let's open Spiders, and let's just see how the rewards are lining up this week. Man, it's so slow. Come on, Blarium, get the program. All right, so it just started, but usually this is the way it plays out. The first place person is really in first place, and then everyone else is kind of lagging behind when they see maybe they don't want to try to catch up to the first place, or they see that first place is really committed to staying in first place. So they kind of taper off. So if they're doing that and it's the last night or last day, set up your auto clicker, load up some energy, and get in there. So that's what I did on my free-to-play account. Actually, I was just aiming for fourth place, but I ended up overtaking third and second and becoming second place. So I got some nice 5-star relentless gear on my free-to-play account, and that pleases me, right? So that's something that you can do if you don't have relentless gear. You can just give that a shot. Okay, so let's go back to Whisper. Let's go, girl. Come on. All right, crit, and that skill that she has, her passive, depends on landing critical hits. That also gives you extra turns. So you can be getting extra turns from your A3, extra turns from your passive, extra turns from relentless gear. That's a lot of extra turns. And when you can stack stuff like that, that's awesome. And plus the fact that she ignoring defense is one of the best that you can get early on, right? Ignoring defense. If your crit damage is like under 200, ignoring defense is often a better skill to get. So if you look at the masteries that I have set up, I actually have Home Smasher instead of Flawless Execution. If you have like over 200, say, crit damage, then maybe stacking more crit damage will actually do more damage than Helm Smasher. And plus, Helm Smasher, there's that issue where it's random, right? So like I did a video on Cryptowitch where I had Helm Smasher and had Flawless Execution. I couldn't really decide which one was better. And a lot of times Helm Smasher was better, but I ended up with Flawless Execution as what I stuck with, just because it's free to play account. I didn't really have the gems to switch it back. But I think low mid game, if you're able to ignore defense, a lot of times that is better for you. Okay, so as you see, she's set up not for clan boss, even though she does amazing damage on clan boss if you set her up for that. She is set up for dungeons and arena. You definitely want to take the shield breaker. Because she was attack based champ and a little squishy, I took the stuff that gives life back. So I took Life Drinker, and I took Bloodthirst instead of Resurgent. A lot of people will take Resurgent down this tree, but I actually went with the one that returns life instead, and of course the counterattacks. And then I went down to, of course, to Helm Smasher. That was the big tier 6 that I took on this account. And now there's some overlap there. I realize it because we have skills here that ignore defense completely, and you can't, once you ignore defense, you can't ignore more defense. I don't think you can go into the negatives. It'd be cool if you could, but I do not believe that works. So that's another thing to consider. It's only her A1 and A3 that are going to be affected by Helm Smasher if it procs. Okay, so let's just go in a little bit. I don't think I need to go over any more stuff specifically to that. I just wanted, as far as her stats go, let's look at her stats real quick while we're here before I start. I did not. All I wanted to make sure was that she was slightly slower than Dracomorph. That was my big thing. So her speed is just below Dracomorph, so that Dracomorph can go first. And again, I only have 5-star gear. I don't have anything 6 stars. She's not end game viable. But I did the best I could with what I had. I don't have a lot of accuracy, so if I try to take her in clan boss, I would probably need to re-gear a bit more for accuracy, because we probably want to land the weekend. Although I do have Dracomorph, so maybe that's not necessary. Maybe keeping her defensive tree would be fine. But regardless, you see the stats are kind of middling. I mean her 33,000. That's kind of a lot of hit points for an attack champion at this stage of the game. And a decent amount of defense, because again, she just needs to be survivable, especially in arena when you're facing a bunch of those nuke teams. You gotta eat that initial nuke so that she can have an ability to strike back. Alright, so let's go into the arena. So here we're fighting a Kymar and a Valkyrie, and then 2 damage dealers, a Nethril and a Kale. Alright, so Valkyrie goes first, Tormund gets the freeze. I put in my Baleful Eye, and I drop the weakens and the decreased defense on the team. And I think what I decide is that Nethril is going to be the biggest threat, and I'm going to ponder it for a little bit. I did this a couple days ago. Okay, so I charge up my A3, hit Nethril. I give another attack, he counterattack, but I have now I ignored defense. Nethril's down, and now I have to decide who I'm going to use my A1 with. And now Kale's down, so that just leaves me with Kymar and Valkyrie to deal with. All right, come on, guys. There we go. Sorry, my laptop is tired and sick. Been around for a while. All right, we poison the heck out of out of Valkyrie. And we do our best to whittle her down. Valkyrie's a tough cookie. But, I mean, we're going to win. There's not really any threat left. And then coup de grace with the A1. Alright. Now, there's also... here's a speed nuke team. You see this a lot in between Gold 3 and Gold 4. I survived the initial one. You can see I have hardly any health left on my Whisper, but I did have the 2 debuffs landed, so I get an extra turn, and I can take out Gold Grab, and then use my A1, and just go down the line, and hopefully I'll get some extra turn. Just see an extra turn proc there. So we can say goodbye to Apothecary and his irritating heals. And I got another turn, so let's go ahead and take out the entire team. So there we go. I survived the nuke and was able to come back and take out the entire team. Team of glass cannons. So good times had by all. Let's see, what's my next course of action? I think this is the Force Keep. Okay, so here we go into the Force Keep, and see I have Scartosis in there to add some crit chance. And some additional buffs, increased attack. Our friend Dracomorph is in there for his debuffs and his poisons. Tormund's in there because Tormund's awesome, and Coldheart is in there because generally you like Coldheart's Heartseeker to help with the bosses. But interestingly enough, in the Force Keep, she is much less effective because he's not based on his hit point pool. He's based on his defense. So that's where Coldheart is kind of mitigated and Whisper shines. I guess we had Helm Smasher on Coldheart. That'd be another story, but I do not have Helm Smasher on Coldheart. But I do have Helm Smasher on Whisper, and she uses it to great effect against the boss, as we shall see. Let's see, her Heartseeker just procced, and she only did like less than 19,000 damage. Right, that's not something that you're accustomed to seeing against a boss with Heartseeker. But here's Whisper just going nuts, and there we go. There, Whisper like 4 or 5 hits and took the boss down completely. So you can see her damage 436,000 compared to Coldheart's 158. Usually you see those numbers are usually reversed with your DPS. Usually Coldheart is doing all the heavy lifting. All right, so and she does she performs similarly against the dragon. She does a heck of a lot of damage against the dragon, and paired with the Coldheart, of course, with the Heartseeker, it's great against the dragon too, because the dragon has high defense, not as high defense as the Force Keep does, but the dragon has defense and a big hit point pool. So Coldheart within a Heartseeker works fantastic against the dragon, and Whisper just does a fantastic job, pulls a lot of weight in dragons. And everywhere. Whisper has actually become one of my favorite champions to use. It's so much fun watching it. It's like, the first time you use Relic Keeper, and, he has that kill an enemy, take another turn proc. This is a similar mechanic, but she has so many more opportunities to take turns. So the Relentless Gear gives her an 18% chance. She has a chance from getting a critical hit, and she has a chance if the weaken in defense. It's 3 chances every turn to take an additional turn. It's I don't know of another champion that can do that. Some people complain that she didn't hit very hard, but I think we know now what we need to do to make her hit hard. And actually, I have not called out Verdi Gaming in any of my videos yet, but this is a perfect opportunity to do so, because you saw his video on Whisper is probably my favorite one out there, because he captures the same lunatic glee that I feel. And he's like, oh, Coldheart, Whisper's kicking ass. It's amazing. And he has her geared, in a lot of the more 6-star gear, stuff that I don't have. Like, I don't even have a crit damage amulet. I farm spiders so much, and I have not gotten one. It's just, I'm just unlucky in that regard. So she's just in a flat attack one. So you can definitely make Whisper better than what I have here. But if you were in a similar part of the game like me, where you're just kind of at the bottom of Gold 4, just every week you're just trying to stay in, maybe getting to the middle a little bit. You're almost done with your dungeons. This particular Whisper and the team composition I have, we can get up to Dragon 18. That's as high as we can get. Just with the gear I have. I have only like 4 or 5 pieces of 6-star gear, and I have them all in brackets right now, just for fun. So Whisper is a great champion, a lot of fun. Not maybe necessarily a lot of utility, but she's very clutch. Definitely good in arena, just taking out that one irritating champion. The only time I don't use her is against Duchess Lilitu. I just, a lot of the Duchess that I face, I guess, I can't take her out in one hit. So, and if I can't take her out in one hit, I'm toast. So I usually replace Whisper with Skullcrown when I face Duchess. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I think Whisper is, if you build her right and you use her in the right spots, she's fantastic and she's so much fun. And she looks like Miranda from Mass Effect. So that's kind of a bonus too, right? Guys, thank you so much for your support. Throw me a like if you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, and I'll put out some more stuff. I've been putting out stuff a lot lately. I've had some time, finally. So thank you. I appreciate it. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Thanks, guys. Take care.